Oh, the sweater. Why, that sweater? Oh, young man, the things that I would tell you if I could talk to you.
Chris wore that sweater.
What?
Chris Hemsworth wore that sweater.
Chris Hemsworth has a different body type than that guy 4 years ago. Look at that though, honey. 1 million, that's the main thing. That's the incredible thing.
Are you telling me we're not here to talk about your sweater?
No, this is all about my sweater. 1 million, that really shocked us. That really surprised us because we really didn't know. It was only just early last summer that Jenny pulled out her phone at some point and saw that we had, I think, close to 250,000 views, and that was a big spike because I mean I don't even know if it had 100,000 previously when we looked at it, but I was really pleased with that because Ray Kurzweil, I mean most of the people that are watching this and read the post-human stuff would be aware he's obviously a big influence on me, and the fact that he did a talk that went online around the same time here in Vancouver, in my hometown at the main TED, it went online about the same time, and his talk I think had more than 250,000, but I was really happy that he only had 20, 30, 40,000 views more than me, and that he just wasn't absolutely blowing me out of the water, and it was humbling and kind of amazing, and then that was about it. And Jenny and I didn't look at it again for a long time, and a lot of stuff's happened since last summer, and then it was less than a week ago, I think it was the first, no, right? It was the first day I was starting to feel better. That's a whole other thing that I'll talk about in a second. But I think it was the first day that I started feeling a little better, and Jenny pulled out her phone again. And truly, if she told me that we had 500,000, I would have been very pleased with that. But she said 970,000. And so we discovered that it had accelerated, and it's been getting around 12,000 views a day now for a while, and that's astounding. And yeah, Ray's in the 400,000s, which is where you'd expect him to be, I guess. But wow, so this has really caught fire, and I'll talk about that and why maybe it did catch fire. I'm not sure, but first, yeah, I'm alive, and that's probably important to talk about. So it's I don't know how long it's been now, maybe 12 days, 13 days since the last video I did, and in that video I said that I probably had COVID. I hadn't been able to get a test. I still haven't been able to get a test, and wouldn't be able to get a test even now. But it was on about the 5th day. Jenny had symptoms too a couple of days before me, but she recovered really fast. And I was too optimistic when I made that video. I didn't feel great, but I really believed that I was going to turn the corner the way Jenny did, and I kind of did turn the corner, but I turned the corner and I felt worse, and well, my energy level just really dropped, and I was sleeping a lot, but still I was just stuck in bed, and I didn't feel like myself really at all, and it was pretty scary, because obviously you read people are having similar symptoms or similar experiences, and sometimes things go really bad, and so you're always nervous, and I think that's what made it worse, is that you didn't know if you were going to be one of the people that goes the other way, and Jenny was great though, like she was really good and wouldn't let me get down or wouldn't let me get too nervous. I I'm a pretty optimistic person, and 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 so it's a little weird to have to lean on somebody a little bit to not get down. I wouldn't get really down anyway, unless maybe I was really sick. But Jenny was very positive and took care of me really well, and wouldn't even let me see my phone on some days because she knew, and she was right, that I would grab my phone and I'd be reading more experiences that people had, and of course usually the ones that end up in the media are the really scary ones, and she wanted to make sure I didn't have all that anxiety, and that would help me. I started to get better. The last 4 days, the energy level's still not what it usually is. So I'm still not able to, do 14-hour work days and push myself and do all those sorts of things. And I'm being really careful, especially because this was such an odd thing where you would get pockets of time where you would think you were getting better. Like there'd be part of a day where you'd think you're getting better, and then all of a sudden it would get really bad that night, or you'd wake up feeling bad, and then in the evening you'd start feeling good, and so I didn't take feeling good for granted, and so what ended up happening was one day I started feeling better. I'm not saying this is what did it, but I'm pretty sure that was the day that Jenny saw that it was almost 1 million views. And I'm not saying that getting almost 1 million views is what did it, but I didn't go downhill again after that. And so I've felt like myself now for, I think today's the 4th day, and it's really nice to feel like myself again. I can think again, I can be creative again. I don't feel like I have to just lay on my back and have naps all day anymore, which is really good. And most of the symptoms have really cleared up, other than you still have a little bit of a cough and those sorts of things, and my lungs aren't as good as they were yet. But I feel really good that I'm going to get better. So of course I'm going to get better, but all the way better fast. And so yeah, it was. It's not something anybody wants. But I feel really grateful that I got better, and I didn't have the horrific experience that a lot of people have had who end up having to actually be hospitalized with it. Okay, so back to the fun stuff. Who wants to talk about this stuff, right? I'm better, yay, good. The TED, 1 million views, amazing. I'm really grateful for that as well, and we were talking about it and speculating on why it was doing so well, and there's a couple of things. I think I have no idea. That's the real answer. I don't know, but I always come up with theories, and at least part of it is probably just it's finally been picked up by the YouTube algorithm, and it's starting to get recommended to people, and I think a lot of that has to do with the tribe. If something is getting used consistently for a long period of time, apparently it just hits these moments and starts going. Jenny was saying that right now it's on pace to actually hit 2 million at some point this summer. So it's really exponential, and I guess we should have known, because right before I got sick, or as I was just getting sick and that pandemic was hitting, I started to get a lot more offers to travel around the world and speak, and then I got really sick, and I still have to respond to a bunch of those. So that we should have known, but we didn't look, but we should have known. I think another reason why it's doing well is that the talk itself was a bit ahead of its time, the same way that the book series, that the posting series is a bit ahead of its time. When the series first came out, it got some love and it did all right. But it's funny, it catches on, and it gets more popular. So most books you sell well at the beginning, and then they just kind of get lost or they get forgotten. but the post-human series always seems to sell better. And I think a great example of that is March 18th. It was the fifth most downloaded book in America, like the fifth most downloaded book. 1, 2, 3, and 4 were all romance novels. It was like shirtless guys on the. You cannot beat those erotica romance things. But so I mean, in a way, if you take away erotica, it was number one. Maybe I should have had Old Timer Shirtless on the front or something. But yeah, it's amazing when things like that happen. And I think there's an attraction. There's an attraction right now to the talk, which is our post-human future, especially when you see what's happening with the pandemic and how maybe for the first time for a lot of people, we're having to look at the way we do things and question that. Now, I've been doing that for a long time, obviously. I think people are looking at some of the things that we do, the way we build our cities. I mean, really the infrastructure for our world is over 100 years old. I mean, it was all set up in the, around 1900. The electricity grid and the roads and eventually the automobile and cities and the way cities were planned and constructed, and this idea of having a company and everybody has to physically go there, or this idea of having a library. I mean, that idea obviously is thousands of years old, but those are things that aren't really necessary anymore, and they're things that could change, and I've known that for a long time. The post-human world is a world where obviously I was trying to think outside the box, and I wrote everything, I conceptualized everything by thinking outside the box. And when you think outside the box, what that really means, Marshall McLuhan, a media theorist from the University of Toronto, was actually the one who came up with that term. It's become almost like a business cliche now, part of that vernacular, and most people have no idea where it comes from. But that he definitely wasn't talking about business. He was talking about the way people view the world, and that we view the world through the flavor of the most recent past. It explains why it takes a while for changes to actually take hold, and I think the pandemic is causing people to stop, because rather than just the mundane day-to-day that they usually have to deal with, a lot of people just can't even go anywhere, and if they can't go to work and they can't do their commute, they have to find other ways. And some of the things that they're discovering is that they don't really need to do the commute. And it really begs the question, like, why were we still doing it? And that's a question I was asking myself for a while. We got the tools to be able to communicate with each other and to move documents around digitally. That's why Zoom is doing so well right now. And I mean, ebooks are really in a great position right now. A lot of people that were holdouts finally are trying ebooks, and ebooks are just, I mean, they're an app and a phone away. Most people have a phone already, so it's not even a matter of having to sell an e-reader to somebody or even a tablet. Although I still love the iPad mini for reading those books, just a personal preference. But a large screen phone is great. And I think some people that just weren't ever going to try it are being forced to rethink. And when you watch the Post-Human Future talk, I talk about what that world could be like. And I think a lot of people are thinking, that would be nice, especially right about now. When you can't get toilet paper in this grocery store, the idea of having a replicator and being able to, I mean, really is no resource scarcity at all. And anything that you want, there's a digital file for it and it can be assembled molecularly. How perfect would that be right now? There would be no viruses that couldn't be eradicated immediately, and I mean, immortality even. It's a whole different way of thinking about the future, and it's a really positive way of thinking about the future. And I think one really positive way that we can think about this pandemic is, you know, sometimes even if the technology is ready, people just really get stuck in their ways, don't they? And they won't change because of it. And obviously the fact that, I don't know, Jenny, I might go out of focus, but if you can see that, like, there's the Dangerous to Know poster. I mean, Dangerous to Know exists because of thinking outside the box and understanding the technology. Movies have been made a particular way for, again, about 100 years, and a lot of people just didn't want to change the way it was. And it reminds me a bit of The Matrix, with Morpheus saying to Neo that some people are so hopelessly inured by the system that they'll actually fight to protect it, even if it isn't good for them, because it's hard to think outside the box. But then when something forces you, I think you realize that, you know, that wasn't that hard after all. And so people are going to have to, if we want movies, we're going to have to make movies like Dangerous to Know right now. You're not going to be able to have tons and tons of crew and all these people together. Digital consumption is going to be important, and then we're going to be thinking about how can we make digital consumption more enjoyable. Going to a movie theater, I don't know, aren't you going to feel a little bit weird about it when this ends? I hope movie theaters don't go away, but aren't you going to think twice? Aren't you? It's going to be something that sticks with all of us for a long time. So all of these things are things to really think about, and I think it's, in some ways, it could actually accelerate a lot of positive changes. So once again, I'm looking on the bright side. And again, maybe I'm too optimistic, but I don't think we're going to go back to the way the world was. I think it's going to be different. How different is the thing I'm really fascinated about right now. Speaking of all of those things, Cannes has not been canceled, but it's definitely postponed, and we'll see what happens with that. But Jenny and I are adjusting and pivoting with our plans, and we've got some good ideas here. My work is a little, obviously the schedule has changed because of being sick, but well, I'm back at work now, at least. Not working as fast as I usually do, but at least I'm working. So everything that was part of the Kickstarter is still on its way, so that's good. There's no problems there, no holdup, and it's a good time to get some new entertainment, some new ebooks for sure. And then we'll see. I mean, there's a really good chance Dangerous to Know we'll have a digital release now, but we're still looking at the film festivals, and there's still a good chance. We'll see. I'll keep updating everybody. But Jenny and I are excited. We're gonna keep creating digital content, and wherever you are, I hope you're safe. I hope you feel okay. I know people are bored, but I hope you're looking on the bright side. And thank you for all the messages. There's a crazy amount of messages, actually, when people saw that I was sick. Too many to actually respond to all of them, and I love that. I just have the best group of supporters in the world, and they're a small group. You guys know that, but you pull off miracles. And you did that with Kickstarter, and not even a science fiction writer could imagine a group of people as kind as you, and I'm really grateful. I wouldn't have dared dream of it. So thank you, and yeah, I'm really glad to be back, and I'm excited to try and make your pandemic a little better. So is Jenny. Why not, right? What else are we gonna do? Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.
I'll put my hand in there. Where's my hand? Bye.
Oh no.